Cheers.
How many pictures are on Yelp? You pull up all these pictures and you're like, oh, that's the dessert you're eating? All right, so that's the candle? Okay, that's the same candle. I know where you're at.
Babe, 45 minutes to an hour.
45 minutes to an hour. Wait, can you run that long? No offense.
That's how I got married, dog. You know, first date, bro.
Was that what you did? Be a good one, Coy.
Yeah.
This is probably one for the record.
I think a guy's more comfortable being alone than a girl, but I mean, that's a whole nother subject.
First and foremost, welcome to the Men Don't Know podcast. I'm the man of many friends, your host and creator, Chris Boone. And here on the podcast, we talk with a bunch of guys. We ask a bunch of women questions over wine and cocktails. Whether you're listening to it on Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Pandora, YouTube, where you downloaded that Men Don't Know podcast app, I cannot thank y'all enough. Merch store is open as always, but hit me up on Instagram at Men Don't Know, Twitter at Men Don't Know 1. Shoot me an email, Chris at MenDon'tKnow.com, or hop on the MenDon'tKnow.com website and shoot me a message. Coy, my guy, we got one for it today.
What do we got?
You know what? A lot of people have been asking me to help them find lawyers, whether it's dealing with family law or divorce and stuff like that. And I so happen to have a friend, and her family owns a law firm.
Nice.
So I figured we would call them up, and I pulled up a bunch of questions. So I have about a little bit, close to a dozen questions I want to ask them, just to kind of get an all-around basis for child support and divorce, and see what's going on and reach out to them. So that way, you know, we can kind of, I guess you could say, we can kind of get to the nitty gritty and understanding about alimony, child support, divorces. How do those things work? What should we be doing? And kind of just all around understand what you're expected and what you're getting yourself into when you have a kid with somebody, when you know, quote unquote, when you get into a relationship with somebody, you get married with somebody, you got to figure out what's going on, what's work, what doesn't work. And if it, I hate to say it, but if it's in your best interest. So we are going to call my friends over at the law office of Joseph L Pittera.
Nice.
And we'll probably be speaking with Joseph, my friend Savannah, and maybe her mom. She's trying to get her mom on the line right now as we speak, Kathy Pittera. But, all right, let's call up, 6 o'clock. Told him I was going to be giving him a call around then. Let me see if she's fixed the phone situation. Let's see. Let me see.
On speaker earlier.
Hey, Savannah, how are we doing?
Hey, doing great. How are you?
Amazing. And once again, we are so thankful to have you and your family on over at Joseph L Pittera and the law offices over there. Thank you guys for coming in. I have a bunch of people that have been, I guess, needing, you know, law services. And because of, I know. I mean, I don't know if it's, you know, the divorce rate going up, or I hate to say it, more women than men asking about child support and stuff of those natures. Yeah. So I'd figure I'd call you, get you guys on the phone for a little bit, and kind of go through some questions, if you don't mind.
No, absolutely. We're excited to be here.
Absolutely. Now, who do I have the pleasure of being with today?
Hi, I'm Savannah Matthews. You also have Kathy Pittera on the line.
Love it.
Hi there.
Hello.
And we also have Joseph Pittera here.
Hello. Hello, Mr. Pittera. All right. So quick question. Let's start off. Let's go into divorce first, and then we'll work our way to child support. So first question is, how much does a divorce cost? I guess and I know it's gonna be it's only gonna be a ballpark frame, but let's just talk about the average couple, each making $70,000 a year, but they do own a single family residence, no kids. They've been married for.
It doesn't really matter what they own or how much money they make. Divorce is based on if for support, it will matter.
Okay.
Spousal support, if there's a home that needs to be sold, there's a lot of components. So each person's case is different. We would probably do a cost-effective program for them based on their needs. But of course, we're pretty reasonable.
Okay. I got where you guys were pretty reasonable. Hello? Uh-oh. I think we lost them. Let me see. Hello? Can you hear me? Uh-oh. Hello?
Decide if you want to have.
Oh, got it.
If they get along now, and they want to do something called a marital settlement agreement, where two people are basically in agreement of terms. They want to part ways amicably. We could avoid court completely, do all the paperwork at our office, file it. They never have to spend a day in court, and it's still a legal divorce. They've done all their declarations of disclosures and all the things that are required under California law, and we could do something called a mediation or marital settlement agreement. So there's a bunch of different needs depending on what their situation is and how they get along.
Oh, okay. Now, I hate to ask this. How does alimony work, Savannah?
Alimony.
Yeah.
You want me to get that to that for you?
Go ahead.
Actually, yeah, we're gonna let Kathy take.
Yeah,
this
I
one.
like this. I like this.
Joseph.
Hey, I like this.
And Joseph too.
Yep.
They both have something to say here.
Okay.
Okay, Joe, do you want to go first with alimony?
Sure. All right. So alimony depends on several factors. One of the most important factors is the length of the marriage.
Okay.
So any marriage that under California law that's less than 10 years is considered a short-term marriage under California law. And typically the rule of thumb is that the spouse making more money would have to pay spousal support to the spouse that's making less money for half the term of the marriage. So in other words, let's say two people were married for 5 years.
Yep.
Then the higher earning spouse would probably have to pay the lower earning spouse about 2.5 years worth of support.
Okay.
In a marriage that's 10 years or more, typically spousal support tends to be more open-ended.
Okay.
In some cases, for example, if for example, one of the spouses, let's say the stay-at-home wife, stayed at home, gave up her career to take care of the children, while the husband went out and maybe went to school, got an advanced degree, and slowly but surely over the course of the marriage started earning a lot more money. Then you have a situation where, at separation, the wife, who's also the mom, they're in a difficult situation because, they gave up their career. Maybe they gave up educational opportunities that they could have taken in exchange for staying at home, taking care of the kids, taking care of the household. And so in a situation like that, the court's going to be like, well, the spousal support's going to be more open-ended here. Probably it's going to last until either party passes away or until the mom/ex-wife remarries.
Oh, my God.
So that's typically the situation there.
It's based off of a bunch of different surrounding circumstances too, like, the type of lifestyle that they lived while they were together, the things that they did,
Also, the factors could be that if it's a long-term marriage, they've been married 20, 30 years, they're getting up in age, the wife is no longer able to work, the husband's getting ready to retire. She might have to pay spousal support indefinitely till she marries, dies, or has a different circumstance. So that could also happen in California, because California is a community property state. If you have a prenup, however, that could change a lot of things. And I did think that you had a question also about something like that, which we could get into when you're ready.
Yeah. So I have now, I have a subscriber that sent in a personal question. He said, when two people are married and one person's parents gifts the child money to their own account, not a joint account, If they divorce, is the spouse entitled to that money?
So let me answer that question. So I guess it depends on what type of account. So for example, a lot of parents open up what are called 529 accounts, which are basically accounts, savings accounts for college.
Okay.
So for example, if let's say the parents of one of the spouses gifts money to the 529 account, then in the divorce, technically the 529 account is something that neither spouse can really access to take the money out.
Got it.
For the children.
Correct.
Got it.
Now, if they're just putting the money into just a regular bank account, and one of the parents has access or signing authority over that account, unless there's an agreement in place between both parties that the money is not to be touched.
In writing.
Exactly. Then there's really nothing that the other parent can do to prevent that parent from, just withdrawing or taking the money.
And it would have to say this is a gift for, this child.
Okay. There's a part two.
If they get money now, if the couple gets money from one of the parents through an inheritance, let's say your parents pass away, or they gift them money for an inheritance, that inheritance is not to be split by the parties.
That's considered separate property.
Completely separate property. Now, if they do mix their inheritance money in a commingled account, that could change the whole outlook of that situation. So it's best to not do that.
All right. Here's the second part to that. Now he says, and she says, if the money was used as part of a down payment and for a house and house upgrades, will the recipient get that money back before assets are split?
Well, that all depends. So California is a community property state, right?
Yeah.
So anything that is acquired between the date of marriage and the date of separation, okay, and the date of separation is not necessarily the date that a person files for divorce. It's the date that, both parties reasonably believe that they are separated from one another. So that's community property. So if somebody, for example, had money that they received from an inheritance or money that they received from a gift, and they deposit it in a joint account where, both parties have their name on that account, then presumably that separate money becomes community money. Okay, which means that they wouldn't get that money back. Now, in a situation where one party can trace money that was used to buy a house, for example, to a gift from a parent or, from their own separate property savings, then at divorce, if the parties agree to sell that house, then technically the spouse that put that money down for the down payment is entitled to that money down.
Okay, so they'll get the Man, you guys will probably have a lot of people calling you after that, because it is very, I will say right now, I feel like divorce rates are much higher right now. And I had a couple, well, not a couple, I had a woman wanted to know, is it, and as sad as this is even going to sound, is it even worth getting married today?
Ooh.
If you are the breadwinner.
We believe in love, even though we're into the business that we do a lot of unpleasant things at law offices. Nobody wants to walk into a law office. Nobody wants to walk into a hospital. We know that. So we are compassionate people, but we do believe in love. But yes, divorce rates are they're so high in California. That's why California is considered a community property state.
I got some statistics here.
All right.
Here we go.
In 2022, California's divorce rate was 5.88 per 1,000 people.
Oh, my God.
So that means that about 6 people out of every 1,000 got divorced.
Oh.
So it's about 8.9% in California.
Yes. I don't.
So I guess the statistics kind of answer. To be honest with you, there's a lot of advantages to being married,
Right.
not least of which is the taxes.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's an incentive that the government builds into the tax system that for people to be married.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's not as bad as people think it is.
And see, people also don't have to worry that should I get married because there might be divorce, there might be this, there might be that. Of course, there could be that with anybody. There could be any circumstance with anybody.
Correct.
But the good news is we're noticing in our practice, and a lot of practices locally, that a lot of people are doing amicable mediation divorces that never used to happen 30 years ago. It's happening so much more now that we're pretty shocked ourselves that people can come in. We explain to them the cost-benefit approach, the cost-benefit approach to getting along and being amicable. If their marriage isn't working and they really know that, why not save the money to raise the kids and use it to move on instead of paying, exuberant amounts to lawyers? Like, try to do a marital settlement agreement. Okay. Try to do a mediation divorce. And we offer those services as well.
And one other thing I'd like to just piggyback on that is if you are that worried about the divorce or the marriage potentially because of a divorce, we do prenups, and that will protect you. That's a really great way to protect yourself and your spouse and your potential children in the future.
Yeah, we have a lot of people coming into our office to doing prenups before marriage.
I must say I'm real good at them too.
There you go. Okay, and encompassing that, I want to ask you this. For some reason, a lot of women are asking these questions. If one person wants to get a divorce and the other one doesn't, how would one go about that?
Mom, you want to take this one?
Yeah, it doesn't matter in California. If one person wants to get divorced and the other doesn't, you have the right to divorce that person and call it irreconcilable differences. Now, some people will be stubborn and be like, well, that was your idea. I'm not signing the paperwork.
Yeah.
That's all good. Because in California, you have to do a bunch of things paperwork-wise to make a marriage go through, like preliminary declarations of disclosures. And
a divorce, to make a divorce go through.
Yeah. So when you're served the initial summons for divorce, some people are like, I'm not signing it. I'm not going to do it. In those cases, we'll have to, put motions in, go to court. The court will take care of it, and eventually that person is going to have to concede to it, because just because they don't want to get divorced does not mean that the other person has to stay in the divorce, a marriage that they're not happy in.
Got it. I mean, because it's sounding like with the amount of messages I've got in those type of situations, it is sounding a lot one-sided. Like, he said he'll never leave. Like, we bought the house together. He makes more money than me, but I'm not happy. Those type of situations are starting to be on the rise. I've even had someone just now message me in and say that they've been living together for over 5 years, not married, but wanted to know, would he have any issues if they separated, of her coming after him for, I don't know, like they said a common law marriage. I think he was.
So it used to be that some states recognized a common law marriage, meaning that two people living together for a certain period of time would be considered technically married.
Yeah.
There was the famous Marvin case in California, though, that basically kind of changed that.
Oh, wow.
So what happened is that the California law changed to basically recognize that the only way that a common law marriage would be something that would be recognized in California was that if the two people that were living together and not married entered into some kind of a contract.
Yeah.
So in other words, there'd have to be some kind of a written contract between the parties that delineate what their respective rights to property, bank accounts and other assets would be. And in the absence of a contract or a writing, California will not recognize a common law marriage.
I like that.
So in other words, if two people are living together and one person bought a house and bought all these things and their name is on it, then the other person can't then come after that person and claim an ownership interest in that property in the absence of a contract.
Okay,
perfect.
However, if they do have children and they're not married, and they have to do what's called a parentage action, whereas they won't have anything to do with property stuff unless they own a home and they have some interest in there, but they could get child support and they would have to.
Hold on.
I think she just cut out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously, there's lots of couples that come to our office that are not married and that they have children together.
Yeah.
And so in that particular situation, although they can't really divide assets in a divorce type proceeding, they can definitely deal with the child's issues in what's called a parentage action.
Got it.
Which is basically another word for a paternity action.
Okay. All right, let's move over to child support now. I have, once again, a couple women that have asked a couple questions. First question was, at what age can a child make the decision to not have visitation with the non-custodial parent?
14 years of age.
Oh, okay, at 14. Okay, that was easy. And
however, we have had children that were over 12 years old that have been in abusive households that refuse to go with another parent, and that turns into a whole new kind of different case. So I think 14 is the legitimate age, but if there's problems with the family or there's domestic violence or there's some kind of child abuse, of course, their age could be a lot younger. The courts could hire what's called minors counsel, where the child has their own attorney. It could get very complicated.
Yeah.
So
it depends on the child's level. It also depends on the child's level of maturity as well.
Okay.
People need to understand something, though, that's very important, and that is that once the child reaches the age of 14, if there's a pre-existing court order that says that, for example, the child has to go, spend 50% of their time with one parent and 50% of the time with the other parent, if that child doesn't want to go and the other parent to whom the child is refusing to go to decides to call the police and the police come out, the fact of the matter is that at 14, the police can't do anything about it. They can't force the kid to go with the other parent. And even if the parent against whom the child does not want to go decides to go to court to try to accuse the other parent of, for example, or contempt of the court order, as long as that parent can demonstrate that they were not actively trying to interfere in the relationship between the 14-year-old and the other parent, then the court at that point, in essence, even though they made the order, they can't enforce the order.
Okay. Yep.
So, they
might also do, Joe, what they do a parenting plan assessment at times. If they find out that there's such divisions between mom and dad, and they want to get to the bottom of it, what they'll do is they'll set up a parenting plan assessment where they interview mom, dad, children, grandparents, child care workers, and then the court can make a more educated decision on what's best based on sometimes these assessments. And sometimes when an assessment's not done, they'll do something called minors counsel, where they'll hire an attorney for the children, and the child's attorney will meet with the children and find out what their wishes are, if they're legitimate, and if they're sound in mind enough to make those decisions.
Okay. This is even a shorter question. Someone was asking if one parent has full custody of the child, and all of a sudden the parent that's paying child support gets a better job and is making an exorbitant amount of more money. can that person take that other parent back to court for more child support money?
Yeah.
For modification, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
absolutely.
So just so you know, the way child support is calculated in California, typically all the courthouses and judges and attorneys too have access to these programs. They're called dissolution master programs. And what they do is they calculate what the support is. So support is calculated based upon the gross income of both parties, their tax filing status, and most importantly, the percentage of time that one parent spends with the children as opposed to the other parent.
Got it. Okay. Now, and one quick more question. How much and we skipped over this, but how much does a prenup cost?
It all
Prenups are, they depend on the length of cases that we do.
Right.
We usually have questions. We have a questionnaire. So whatever they're asking, they're trying to protect. If they're trying to protect future spousal support, if they're trying to protect the home that they owned before marriage, if they're trying to protect their retirement, because let's say it's a second marriage or even a first marriage, but they've had a job since they were 18 and they have a big IRA account, a pension, they want to share that, they're allowed to put that in the agreement and say, hey, this is what I want to protect and I want separated.
Hey, Mom, sorry to interrupt, but if you had to, Mom, for both a divorce and for a prenup, can you quote a range?
Yeah, can you give me a ballpark? Am I looking at like 5,000 to 10,000?
Yeah, prenups are usually starting at $2,500. They could go for $4,500, just depending. If we have a 20-page prenup, we can probably do about $2,500. Divorce, on average, to be honest with you, it's around a $5,000 retainer. Most attorneys,
pretty good.
They bill at $400 an hour, and that's actually very reasonable. Yeah,
they can go up though, up to like what's the highest that you think we'll charge?
A $10,000 retainer, $750 an hour.
Well, look. To be honest with you, the cost of a divorce depends upon how much the two spouses are going to fight about all that.
Yeah, you're right. You right about that.
We have cheap divorces. People come in, they already pretty much know what they want to do with the kids, with the property, with money and everything, and it's just a question of writing up their marital settlement agreement and getting them to sign. And then we have people that will fight tooth and nail for absolutely everything,
like a fork,
including visitation with the pets.
How does that work out? I'm sorry.
We've had a bunch of pet visitation cases.
I love those cases.
No, I'm 100% serious because I know of a couple.
We got birds, we got cats, we got dogs, we got all kinds of protected.
I know.
Dragon.
Yeah, no, I know a couple that is right now actually fighting over their dog for visitation rights. And I mean, they were together for close to, I want to say 6 or 7 years, and they had got a puppy when they had got together and moved in together. And now they are separating, and this is the, I hate to say it, they're splitting hairs over the dog. And
their baby.
I mean, I guess how does that work out? How does
when you go to court, you've got to the way the courts view pets, they view them as kind of as property. They don't right. So it's not like, obviously, even though pet parents consider their pets part of their family,
100%.
The way the court views it, they view it as property. So they look at who's paying the vet bills. Who's primarily taking care of the pet?
Whose name is on all the pet accounts?
So they kind of look at it that way.
We have a visitation thing also that some parents will do 1 month on and 1 month off, or they'll leave the pet to the other parent. Like we have a divorce going on right now where the guy left the house because they had a parent that was 30 years old, and the parent just actually passed away, but they didn't want the parent's home, so the woman got to stay in the home because the ex, soon-to-be ex, was like, I feel really bad to displace the parent, and I know you're closer to the parent, but they're an older, more mature couple. So
you also have like couples or people that want to file a restraining order sometimes against their spouse or their partner. You can include in those types of things protection for the pets and your kids and your family. So.
Wow. Okay. Didn't know that. Now, quick question: how much would an average child support modification cost?
Yeah, well, you mean a modification on an existing order?
Yes.
Okay, that would depend. If it's going to be, sometimes there's things called limited scope where you can walk in, do one hearing, do some paperwork, and then be done. That would be a whole different price. Then there's those people that are going to be going to court numerous times.
Yep.
So they might initially hire you for a limited scope thinking it's going to be a one and done.
Yep.
And a lot of people have this thought in their mind, but since COVID, to be honest with you, at the court systems, even though we're considered essential workers as well, we still get put on hold. The courtrooms go dark. The judges get sick.
Things get continued.
Right. Things get continued, and that's no fault of the attorneys.
Nope.
It's generally what the courts do, and they don't let us know ahead of time. So people get a little disgruntled about that, but it happens quite a bit. So it's kind of hard to gauge that when there's a lot of
unknowns. What if it's like you said, the low scope?
Limited scope.
Limited scope means that you're just being hired to do a certain thing, and when that's done, your job's done. However, if the case is still going on, they could renew it and add other things to you as their attorney.
Got you. Okay.
Is that something that we would need to do a consult probably first before we quoted?
And trust me when I tell you, I cannot thank you guys enough for taking the time out to answer these couple questions for me and the listeners that listen and subscribe to this podcast. You have probably helped people a great deal and not even know it. Your name will be at the bottom of this podcast, as well as you guys' toll-free number to call, as well as a number to call for your offices, just so that way they can call and ask and get set up for a consultation to speak with you guys. Because the information that you guys have just provided is literally timeless, because of the fact that in this day and age, and as we are ending summer, heading into the fall, and you would think people would be coming closer and becoming more one together for the holidays that are coming up, it is the exact opposite.
People have bad behavior sometimes during holidays. We just never know. It happened during COVID too. So we're here to give you guys free consultations. We're here to answer questions. We're very personable with people, and we don't charge for a reason. We don't want to charge people at their lowest point.
Appreciate it.
If they don't feel comfortable, they can move on.
Yeah.
They have to feel comfortable with what they're doing.
And
we really have to speak to people to do that. And
we're a little bit different than the other law firms around here because we are a boutique, family-owned law firm.
Love it.
We,
Yes. Well, from the bottom of my heart and the Men Don't Know podcast, we can't thank you guys enough. Law offices of Joseph L Pittera, Savannah, Kathy, Joseph, I cannot thank you guys enough for taking out time to answer a few questions from my listeners. And I hope this won't be the last time. I'd love to get a follow-up whenever you guys have chance, maybe in the next couple of months, just to, go over some more questions I feel like everybody needs a lawyer at this day and age. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you guys are very welcome. And thank you for having us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You guys enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too.
You too.
Take care.
Bye. Man, Coy, a lot of information.
Yeah, because
I feel like they said, it's it's all based upon what you're going through, because every case is different.
And we're sitting here with no kids, never been married, so it's stuff that's just under us, so we don't even think about it.
I know. And meanwhile, there's everybody, no offense. Like, I feel like, me, you, and a couple of our friends are like the last 5 single people on earth.
Yeah, and then we don't know what they're going through.
You don't know.
Much, like, I hate to bring costs into it, but they're pretty cool as far as making sure you're comfortable.
Yeah.
Because you are at a low point of your life if you're seeking a lawyer for something like
Absolutely. You're not even a low point. You're at a point in your life where everything could be going wrong and everything's crashing down and nothing seems right.
Yeah.
You know, like I always said, you know, and mind you, Savannah, personal friend of mine, love her to death. Law offices of Joseph L Pittera. We thank you guys. Thank you guys again. And let's get out of here, Corey.
Yep.
First and foremost, I want to thank everybody for listening, whether you listen to it on Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Pandora. You downloaded that Men Don't Know podcast app. I cannot thank y'all enough. Merch store is open as always. Hit me up on Instagram at Men Don't Know, Twitter at Men Don't Know 1. Shoot me an email, Chris at mendontknow.com, or hop on the mendontknow.com website and shoot me a message. Call my guy. We are out.